Hey there, focused learners. Welcome to this explainer. If you're prepping for your exams, or honestly, if you just want to master the real mechanics of corporate finance, you're in the exact right place today. We're going to be looking at common stock. We're going to break down ownership rights, the strategic advantages, and the hidden disadvantages, specifically from the issuer's perspective. By the time we wrap this up, the critical differences between equity and debt are going to be crystal clear.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our structured roadmap for today. 1. Basics and ownership rights. 2. Advantages to the issuer. 3. Disadvantages to the issuer. And 4. The big equity versus debt showdown.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Basics and Ownership Rights. Basically, what it actually means to be an owner.
So what does it actually mean to be an owner? Well, when you buy common stock, you're not just holding some random digital financial instrument. You are holding a claim to actual legal capital. You've got a true ownership stake in the corporation. Now, sure, the specific legal rights of owners can vary just a little bit depending on what state the firm is incorporated in, but the core concept, it's wonderfully simple. Holding common stock fundamentally means you own a piece of the pie.
So, what exactly do you get with that piece of the pie? Well, as an owner, you get a say. You have the voting rights to select the board of directors and vote on major corporate resolutions. But, and this is absolutely crucial for your exams, ownership equals risk. Common shareholders assume the highest risk of all investors. Because you aren't guaranteed a return, your invested capital actually provides the ultimate safety cushion for the company's creditors if things go south.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we mean by risk. Let's look at this liquidation priority showdown. If a company goes bankrupt and has to be liquidated, well, the debt holders, like bondholders and banks, they are first in line to claim whatever assets are left over. But where are the common shareholders? Dead last. Literally last in priority. They act as that ultimate cushion we just talked about to protect the creditors, absorbing all the losses first.
Moving right along to Section 2, Advantages to the issuer. Why choose equity?
Now that we know what it means to hold the stock, let's flip the script. Why on earth do companies choose to issue common stock, bringing in all these new owners, instead of just going to the bank and borrowing money? To really get this, imagine a mini scenario. Let's say a company hits a severe rough patch. Sales are down, cash is super tight. What happens to the stock issuer during a bad financial year when it comes to their obligations to investors?
Well, here is the massive sigh of relief for the issuer. There is absolutely no fixed dividend requirement. Unlike a bond, which creates this strict legal obligation to pay interest no matter what, common stock offers incredible flexibility. Dividends are only paid out from profits, when they're actually available, and when they're declared by the board. If the firm is struggling, they can simply skip the dividend entirely without facing a default or bankruptcy. It's a huge lifesaver. And the flexibility doesn't stop there. First off, common stock has no fixed maturity date. Equity never matures. The company doesn't have some looming deadline where they magically need to produce millions of dollars to pay back the principal. Plus, issuing equity actually increases the creditworthiness of the firm. It injects a larger capital cushion, which makes the company look way more financially stable to future creditors. And from the market's perspective, common stock offers highly attractive growth potential for investors as the firm succeeds.
All right, on to Section 3. Disadvantages to the issuer. The hidden costs of equity.
So if equity is so incredibly flexible, why not just issue it for absolutely everything? Well, because equity financing isn't free money. It comes with some very real strategic costs. Now, what's really interesting about this, and here's a massive success tip for your exams, is that you always need to watch out for the tax trap. When you're comparing debt and equity, you absolutely must look at how the tax code treats the payments made to investors.
Let me really drill this point home, because it is a huge disadvantage for the issuer. Cash dividends paid out on common stock are not tax deductible. Think about it. When a company pays interest on a bond, they get to deduct that from their taxable income. That creates a really nice corporate tax shield. But dividends? Nope, no way. They must be paid strictly out of after-tax profits. This makes distributing cash to shareholders a much heavier financial lift for the corporation compared to just servicing debt.
Then we have the dilution effect. Imagine a super successful startup founder who owns 100% of their company, right? And they decide to issue new common stock to raise funds. What actually happens? Step 1, they issue the new stock. Step 2, the total number of outstanding shares increases. Step 3. Because the exact same profit pie is now being sliced into way more pieces, the earnings per share, or EPS, drops for the existing shareholders. And finally, step 4. The founders' voting control is instantly diluted. By bringing in new owners, the original owners are giving up a fraction of their control and a fraction of their per-share profits.
Issuing stock is also just expensive. It typically involves higher underwriting costs than issuing debt. Also, issuing too much equity can actually throw off the firm's optimal capital structure, which raises their average cost of capital. And finally, you've got to keep an eye on macroeconomic factors. If inflation goes up, it usually increases the yields on new bond issues. Those higher bond yields draw investors away, which can simultaneously decrease demand for your common stock.
Let's move to Section 4 and see how this all builds up. The equity versus debt showdown. Your final exam check.
Let's walk through this side-by-side comparison. It's perfectly built to help you distinguish these concepts on test day. Payment obligation. Equity offers great flexibility with dividends only paid if available, while debt carries a rigid, legal obligation for interest. Tax status. Equity dividends are not tax-deductible, making them a really expensive way to distribute cash, whereas bond interest provides a nice tax shield. Maturity date. Equity goes on forever, but bonds have a strict deadline. And finally, control. Issuing equity dilutes your voting power, whereas issuing bonds means you keep full control away from your creditors.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative exam-style thought to really lock in your learning today. Based on everything we just discussed about capital structure and the cost of issuing stock, if a firm issues too much equity, how exactly does it affect their average cost of capital, and why does that happen? Ponder that question as you review your notes. Understanding that delicate balance is absolutely the true secret to mastering corporate finance. Keep studying hard, and we'll see you in the next explainer.